Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And yes, the three amigos are back this Thursday afternoon. How you guys doing? How you doing, Matt?
Doing awesome. I'm super excited to do this, especially with Dion on the road.
Yeah, Dion from the vehicle, man. It's awesome. How you doing, Dion?
Howdy, guys. I'm doing good. I hope this goes better than my last Zoom meeting, which was on the road in a windstorm.
No, so far so good. So thank you for doing this. I know you had to pull over, maybe stretch your legs or whatnot. So I appreciate you doing this. Thanks, Dion. So topic number one, I want to kind of walk through, maybe it's what I perceive, maybe it's what I see, but kind of an evolution of new real estate investors, right? And it really starts at step zero, right? They're excited. Maybe they read a book, maybe they saw YouTube University, maybe they saw bigger pockets. Something got them excited, right? That's kind of the base story. And then they've kind of reach out and they kind of try to figure out who connects with them, right? So I'll just stay there. That's kind of the new investor in my world. Dion, you're on Bigger Pockets a lot. Is that kind of stage zero?
Right. And the problem that I run into the most with a new investor is they hear about a strategy like flipping or BRRRR, where they think I can do this with no money.
Yeah.
And they get excited about that. But even those strategies, if they're done with none of your own money, it doesn't mean you do it without money.
Yes. Somebody's got money in the game, right? Then there's Airbnb and arbitrage and mobile homes and private lending, and the list goes on and on and on. And how about you, Matt? You get a lot of young investors.
Yeah, usually we have a lot of work to do before we start working on houses.
Yeah.
Like establishing credit or cleaning up credit
or budgeting
yeah. It's a lot of that. So I think that, the kind of that demographic, kind of early mid 20s, even late 20s, a lot of it is kind of getting ready to start, looking at potentially investing.
That's interesting. And I'm just going to guess probably the people that find one rental at a time, I'm going to say that most folks are probably over 30.
Yes.
I'm just guessing they're like me, right? I was 30 years old. I had a job. I had a family. I bought on the MLS. I got a loan, right? That's kind of probably who finds me first, I would guess. Right.
Yeah.
So then they start coming to me. Maybe they follow on one, maybe they buy the book, maybe they say YouTube and they watch, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours of me, which likely includes both of you. But at some point they're like, okay, he says the same things a lot with different stories, which is good because consistency is really something I go for. But then maybe they sign up for the course, and that's where I want to go to next, right? They're like, okay, I got the book. I see what he's doing. I hear him talk about the Facebook group. I see what Dion and Matt are doing, but now I'm going to buy the course. And if, some of the people, again, they're following me, right? They have a job. The $300 is nothing. It's like, they don't think about it. For some people though, it is something, right? They're forgiving something else, right? They're like, if I do this, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll go backwards. Matt, when you're like the new people that you're mentoring and you're doing 4, 3, 2, 1 and those kinds of things, once they kind of decide to like, you're my guy, what's the next thing?
Swearing. And that's both ways.
Of course.
Yeah,
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, it's both ways. Usually I think that, so I'm not as nice as you. And so, I mean, it's usually one of those things where it's like, okay, just so you know, there's a huge payoff.
Yes.
Get ready to start making down payment on that huge payoff.
Yeah, that's right. Get ready to start digging.
Get ready. Yeah. Cause life as you know it, your choice, as you know it, has to shift and change a little bit, because otherwise you're going to end up with the same result that you've had. So it's almost always that very first conversation is, okay, I'm dedicated. I want to do this. Okay. So I want to do this. The question is after the next 30 minutes, do you still want to do this?
Yeah, exactly. Do you really want to do it?
Because I push, I'm like, hey, I almost went bankrupt 3 times. A treat for me was the McDonald's menu. Yeah. I do everything I can to make sure that I am very, very real with them, and say, this is what it can be. Now, the good news is you've never had as much disposable income as you have right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the good news. You don't have.
It only gets worse from here.
Exactly. You don't have a wife. You don't have a husband. You don't have kids. You literally, the world is your oyster. You can work 100 hours a week, side hustle, main job, everything, and you can change your stars literally in months.
Yeah.
And for most people that aren't in that position in their 20s, it's a lot harder because there's a lot more financial commitments that you're already kind of signed in and linked into that you can't yank the kid out of private school.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Hey, so you're not going to that school anymore because it's too expensive and we're buying a house. We're one rental at a time in this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Blame Mike Zuber.
Yeah, write him a. Yeah, exactly. All right, Dion. So when somebody's spent the time on Bigger Pockets, maybe did YouTube University, and they've come in and they're like, "You're my guy," right? Because you're very giving. You respond, all of that stuff. What does that kind of feel like? Where are they at when they've made that decision? A lot of the times.
So I think I see the starting point as that if you chase 5 rabbits, you starve. So the newer investor comes in not knowing which strategy they want. So the first thing they do is they narrow that down.
Okay.
And for your listeners, you can actually figure out the YouTube analytics has the age of your listeners, the gender of your listeners. So I have like 89% of my listeners are male. So it means 11% are female because I look like this. Right. And most of mine are between 24 and 50. So it's that age bracket. Then I took a poll on YouTube and found out that 64% of my viewers haven't done one deal yet. So I'm really talking to the new person looking at this. And for most of my investing, I always recommended not paying for training, not taking courses, not going to gurus, because $40,000 for a 3-day weekend is ridiculous. You put that money into a property, lose it all, you learned way more than you'd get out of that weekend.
Amen.
But
so true.
But if you take somebody that takes a couple $100, puts it into a course like yours, whether it's important and they had to give up something else or it doesn't mean much because they have a really good job, that skin in the game tells them this content matters to me. I've paid for this. I'm actually going to take the time and go through it in a linear fashion. So when somebody comes to my channel and they've taken the time to leave a comment or to send an email and I've answered them, we've now connected in a way that makes their mind think, I've got time sunk into this.
Yeah,
I should take action, because we all know that first deal is the hardest one, and you don't get the 10th one without that first one.
Yeah.
So it's that hard transition from super excited, so many things to learn, narrow it down to real estate's kind of boring.
Yes.
You look 15, 20 minutes, you find a deal, you make an offer, you buy a property, you own a property, it cash flows. It's a simple process.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's easy because it takes the time commitment and it takes consistency, but it's not like HDTV or GTV, whatever it is, where in 30 minutes they do a full rehab and they made $300,000 or something.
Yeah.
It's buying one rental at a time, making work optional. And so it's really cool finding the people who get excited, come in, and then a few months later have that deal under their belt.
Yeah. That's
funny.
funny.
You gotta watch my channel. I do it in 25 minutes. Way faster than HGTV.
Way faster.
Yeah, that's actually where the next 2 words I had were simple and easy.
Yeah.
Because once they made the commitment, they do it. What I expect most people when they, because again, I'm very upfront, right? I'm like, none of this fluff, put it right in their face. You're either going to do the work or you're not, right? Step 1, step 2. So I have simple and easy math, right? It's not complicated. Real estate investing, one rental at a time, nothing hard about it. Everybody could do it. But I still feel, it doesn't happen a lot, but I think it happens more often than I know. They're like, this is it. I just got to get a buy box and look at it every day. There has to be more. Nope, there doesn't, right? So let's go back reverse. Dion, what do you think of that?
I mean, that's exactly it. In the beginning, we say this often. The first time you do anything in real estate, it's terrifying. The second time, it feels like you could teach a course.
Yeah.
That's how fast it becomes normal to save a down payment, find a deal, profit from a deal. It's not like a police procedural where everything is exciting all of the time. But life is a lot more interesting when work is optional.
Yes.
So the strategy to make work optional might be a little bit boring, as we just figure out, once I have these skills down, that was the hard part.
Yeah.
Now I just repeat it over and over. Then life becomes whatever you want.
Yeah. I love that. And Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think that's dead on. I think that somebody sent me something. He goes, "Hey, what do you think about this market?" Wrote him back. I go, "What do you think about that market?"
Yeah, exactly.
I don't freaking know.
I've never looked. How the hell do I know?
He's like, "What's in New Hampshire?" I go, "I mean, we're a small state, but we're still a
Not that
state.
small. Yeah.
We still have like 1.5 million people. Again, not that big, but still pretty big."
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of funny having that conversation, because it's exactly like what Dion was saying, which was, and exactly what you've highlighted in your course, which is understanding the numbers of a deal to be able to figure it out. If you can figure it out, I've got news for you. Go ape crazy. Do 20 a night. Like literally, that's what I used to do. I would look at a deal, and then the numbers, once I knew what the rate was, and I knew what my down payment was going to be consistently, I could do the math in my head.
Yeah.
I could do the math in my head, and I'm like, oh, that's a good deal. Oh, that's a good deal. And I literally found a good deal. I sent it to a friend of mine, and I was like, hey, this is a good deal. They're like, why don't you want it? And I go, I'm tired.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, no joke.
I got enough to chew on.
I'm tired. And they're like, okay. And so I was like, here, call this agent, blah, blah, blah. They won the house.
That's awesome.
And that deal is like 22% return on capital yield. I mean, so and this is, again, I mean, we do it every day and looking at our market, and we've gotten good at that, right? You don't have to spend a ton of time in any of these markets, because you can dissect the deal very quickly in your head, because it's very straightforward, very simple.
It's very
especially
repetitive.
when you get that muscle memory, right, Dion?
What's funny is, so my brother retired about 7 years ago with 10 paid off rentals, and he just travels and does whatever he wants. And one day I was sitting with in the middle of Texas. I knew that was going to happen.
That's okay.
And one day I'm sitting with my brother explaining a deal with the purchase price, what my down payment is, what the cash flow is because of the area average rents. And I said, this will be my return. And he looked at me. This is somebody who's been retired off rental properties for 7 years. And he said, you could do all that in your head? Yeah. And I thought, how can you not?
Yeah, exactly.
You run about 10 deals, and it just starts to become easier and easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly where I go next. Is kind of the next thing is you're doing it daily, right? Daily discipline, buy box. It either becomes boring and you fight it, like, oh, I need to, like, it goes back to kind of step zero, right? You almost want it to be more complex. Right. So I see people kind of diverge, right? They've done it. They get the buy box. They're repeating it. Some people fight it and like, no, there has to be more. It can't be this simple. And other people are like, I get it. I'm going to do it every day.
Yep.
And move forward. So I do see that. I'm not sure what it is in human nature that some people just want it to be harder. I don't know why.
I steer clear of those people.
Yes. They don't have a tattoo though. I can't see which one it is. I don't know.
Not to start, they don't, but they certainly finish with a scarlet letter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dion, do you see the same thing in bigger pockets, right? Lots of people come. It's a great place to be. Someplace I went a lot in the 2000s. But at some point, do they almost fight the simplicity?
They really do. So how I really started to get involved with Bigger Pockets is I was in their Facebook groups trying to answer questions. Okay. The Bigger Pockets forums has tens of thousands of investors who answer questions.
Yeah.
But on Facebook, they didn't have that many. So I would answer a question, and people would pounce on me with an aspect of my answer that could go wrong or was missing something that could be assumed. So I learned whenever I answer a question in the Facebook groups, I have to do a book. I have to say, because of these elements, this is why it'll work. So the answer is way more complicated than it needs to be. People ask about the LLC question all the time. They ask how to structure a business. And I have a copy and paste answer. With 16 units, I have a checking account, a savings account, a credit card, an Excel spreadsheet. Like my whole business structure fits into a comment. Yeah. That's how simple this can be. But people want to find a way to make it confusing, because it's so confusing when we're starting and we don't have our systems in place,
right?
That it's hard to see how simple the system could be once you have it in place.
Yeah, and I saw that you posted that. That I didn't realize it was a cut and paste. That's genius in the Facebook group. Just a couple of times now. That is awesome. And then the last step for me is the one that I treasure most. Is it if you do the work, it's repetitive. I don't know when it happens for everyone, but I know it happens for everyone. is what I call a light bulb moment. At some point in their daily discipline, they will get to a point where it's done in their head and they're like, they tell me, it's like, that deal is different. I don't know what it's like. It's almost like magic. The sixth sense. It's like something about that one is different than everything I've seen. And I got to tell you, as the creator of the course and now YouTube for 3 or 4 years, that is, I get a kick out of that when somebody goes, I get it now. So Dion, we'll go to you first.
Well, so running a truck driving school and teaching people how to drive a big semi, which seems scary when they're starting, has a chain of aha moments when they finally realize I'm just driving. This is just driving. It's that easy. Same thing with real estate. I'm one of the teaching assistants for the Bigger Pockets boot camps. I've done 2 so far. Hopefully they have me back. I'm enjoying them because there's so many repeat aha moments.
Yeah.
When they just about drop the pencil and they go, oh, that's all I have to do. And I think we've talked about this before. One of the reasons, and this is why I do it, maybe this is why you guys do it. I can only reach financial freedom once.
Yes.
But I get to experience it every time I help somebody get there. And I get the full emotional range of watching somebody realize that they never have to work again in their life.
Agreed.
And so all of those aha moments along the way, it's probably why I don't think I'll ever stop trying to help people do this.
Ditto. Matt, how about you?
Yeah, same. I mean, I think it's, we do, I talk a lot more about like rehab, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Houses, not me personally. But we talk a lot more about rehabbing units. And so one of the funny things is they're like, oh my word, like I can't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's like,
whoa. Yeah.
For $69.95 from Duluth, you can get one of these amazing shirts. Number one. That's where we start.
Yeah. You could be a lumberjack too for $70.
That's right. That's where we start. And then we just work through it and they just say, okay, it's this simple. Yeah. And literally in 5 minutes, I can explain the cadence of a garbage unit all the way to a fully remodeled unit. And I can show them the steps of how it happens and about how long it takes. And I'm working with a student right now who went through that process. And he was like, it's exactly like you said. And I was like, no,
I'm shocked.
You don't say. But, and the funny thing is, it's like, and I said, listen, it's more than just because I'm brilliant. It's because I have a process. It's really, I just tease them. I said, it's just a process. It's here's the step. We don't finish with putting electrical on the walls. We have to open them first. And I said, it's got a cadence to it and it's got a process to it. And I said, people that enjoy seeing that transformation, because that's where I see, like what you guys were saying earlier, which is what Dion was saying was, burr this or flip that or whatever. The cool thing is that it's, there's so much knowledge to be had about so many different parts of what we do that to become elite, it usually means that you've done a number of these different disciplines, that you've become good at a number of them. And what it does is it drastically increases the number of deals you can do because the varied range of what you're looking at can be applicable for a flip, for a burr, for a buy and hold, for an Airbnb. The more of those, that's what makes guys elite. That's what gets guys to that elite level where it's like, I can look at that property and know right up front, it's going to be a burr, it's going to be a flip, it's going to be an Airbnb, it's going to be a whatever.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of fun moments that I have where people can say, so I kind of look at it this way and I kind of looked at it this way. And what's really cool is that I'm like, well, here's the best part. The decision's up to you. Yeah. And I said, and if you go with a strategy and it doesn't work out, you're still okay. Yeah. You can still, like, if you wanted to Airbnb it and that didn't work, you can still rent it out monthly or yearly. So it's being able to see that there's no real death nail, if you will. And I think everybody is so cautious of, well, if I make one mistake, it's going to sink me forever. And I think that there's a lot more give in that process that people need to understand. You're likely not going to die. It's not rocket science. You're going to be okay. It is going to be a process. The thing that becomes most stressful for everybody is the funding available to do what they need to do. Yeah. That's the stressful part.
Yeah. So in the end, when I kind of sit back and think about this again, to me, almost everything breaks down to a pipeline or a funnel, right? That's just what I lived for 2 decades. You can call it a flow chart, I guess, but really I see all of these people excited. And what I want to do is get that aha moment. But I know in order to go from here to here, I've got to get them to understand simple daily discipline, buy box, repetitive, longer than you think. Don't make it more complicated. Yes, it is that simple. And then aha moment. So that's really what I tried to build in the course, and you guys have helped me expand it with all the bonus material. So thank you for doing this with me. Dion, how can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom.
And Matt?
11:30 a.m. Eastern time this Sunday, 3-hour palooza of real estate question and answer time. And it's a lot of fun. A lot of people ask a lot of questions, and now people are even answering the questions for other people.
Oh, that is awesome.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
Very cool. And Dion, did you do your second one, or because you're traveling this week, it didn't work out?
YouTube wouldn't play along in Florida for some reason.
Okay. All right. But you intend to do another one?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.